What's something that's not a cult but feels like a cult? Salesforce. No, I don't want to build a community, go hiking or join 100 online classes to learn the basics. Make a couple of well-explained, to-the-point training videos for F's sake. Maybe 10 to 12 years ago I went to an alumni event for a friend's college and sat next to a guy who worked for Salesforce. I know this because that's how he introduced himself. When I asked what SF was, because it was the early days, he was visibly shocked and just said I work for Salesforce. Everybody wants to work for Salesforce. Still not quite sure what it does, despite being surrounded by SF offices, but whenever I see an employee walk around with a SF logoed backpack or hoodie, I whisper everybody wants to work for Salesforce. The Herbalife organization. They were charged with being a pyramid scheme, but they still operate in a similar way. There are several people I grew up with who became hooked on it, and they definitely act like they're in a cult. I worked with a Herbalife rep and we got along well until one day we were talking about the gym and he was giving me tips. The conversation ended up as a sales pitch for me to buy the products he was selling, and I honestly didn't talk to him much after that. I've had to stop talking to a friend because her boyfriend sells CBD through an MLM. She makes a crap ton of money training and selling horses and is a big name in her profession. Why she lets him do this crap, I do not know. Horse people and MLMs go together like stink and crap for some reason. It seems like after I hit 40 all my trainer/instructor friends went the MLM route for a side hustle. Some of them are pretty successful trainers. They bring in lots of money, but stables are expensive to run, so especially the ones that put on the successful act with new trucks, fancy rigs, white Kentucky 4-board fence etc. are always on the brink of financial disaster. Maybe that's why they are so susceptible? I don't know. I see it less with my trail riding, married, rich and has a career, just has horses as a hobby friends. But the ones trying to make a career out of horses or stay on top in their discipline that don't have a well-off spouse footing the bill? Holy crap. So many MLMers. My niece was involved in that crap. She was constantly posting crap tier memes about how Herbalife wasn't a cult. If you have to constantly say you're not in a cult, that's a bad sign. I'm not the Messiah. He is the Messiah. Edit. Reddit is wild man. Thanks for the award. Hey, is this the cult? We're not a cult. We're a deeply intimate interpersonal business model with modern marketing solutions and bottom-up marketing. Yep, this is the cult. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a conical tiered multi-flow through medical marketing entity. Or, reverse funnel. Clearly not a pyramid-shaped scheme. Turn it upside down. I will not take advice from a man stuck in a coil. Came here to say this. Girls at my work all got into it. It was wild and sad, watching how far they let it consume their lives without realizing how much a scam it was. MLMs, but especially Mary Kay. I went to a convention once as the guest of a consultant because she was trying to get me to join. It was very Stepford. Also, she didn't tell me you were expected to dress up, so I showed up in jeans and a hoodie. Did they actually tell you in advance it was a convention? My experience with that was when my friend gave me the line and asked me if I'd be willing to be a practice model while someone gave me a makeover. It ended up being an hours-long award ceremony where the women wept over how MK changed their lives and made them successful business people. They thought my eyes watering from all the yawning was tears of joy and tried to recruit me. Never did end up getting my makeup done that night. I snuck out as soon as I could. Not makeup, but an insurance scheme thing. This buddy from high school wanted to catch up. We decided to play pool and have a couple of beers. He asked me if I would attend a meeting before we met up. He picked me up and took me there. I knew what was up once we chatted in the car. Still was kind of shady to do it like that. I'm sure they are trained to do it like that, otherwise people wouldn't want to go to the meeting. Edit. Was World Financial Group. The presentation made some sort of sense and I'm sure the products work, I'm just not into it. I have a job, I'm not trying to spend a bunch of my free time on products and services I genuinely don't care about. I have to be passionate about something in order to sell to people, and especially don't like bothering family and friends. Some of us are lambs, some of us are lions. I'm not a lamb. That's essentially what I said to my buddy after we got back into his car to play pool. We hung out a bunch more after that, but then he shortly stopped returning my messages. Was it Primerica? Haha. I had the exact same experience. Showed up looking normal and realized these were not my kind of people. I suspect that is part of the plan. Get people to arrive underdressed so that they feel like they are in the presence of success. Makes the outsiders easy to find so you can push them into becoming part of your downline. Wow. That's pretty clever. Kind of nefarious, but clever. Invite people as if it's a casual event and then they arrive with everybody else dressed to the nines and looking super successful. Certain personalities would be easily manipulated in those circumstances. Especially if they were all very welcoming and friendly to the guests before the sales pitch. When I was 16, I did Mary Kay just to pay off cheap lipstick and eyeliner so I didn't have to ask my mom for any. After half a year, they tried to convince me that it would be a more successful path than college. Tried to tempt me with a sparkly glitter babyish pink Jetta. Not going to lie, as a teen it was tempting. Some workplaces. The ones that push the "we're all family here" attitude especially. I worked in a place that tried to convince the employees we were a family. They basically meant that they would abuse you and expect you to take it, because family. They actively discourage current employees from socializing with former employees. If an employee left because he was fired, it was because he was a bad example to the others and had to be excised from the group. If an employee left because he got fed up and quit, it was because he was a bad apple anyway, but they had not legitimate reason to fire him yet. Either way, that former employee is no longer one of us and should be avoided at all costs. One employee was chastised for liking too many of a former employee's FB posts. I was employed by a company exactly like this. He was a photographer with his hands in a lot of other things. He hired young, cute women and tried to convince us all we were family while totally ignoring the fact that we had actual families. When I left, an employee said they had a whole meeting about how terrible I was and they wanted me gone anyway. His online fans think he is just the bee's knees. It drives me insane. This dude emotionally and verbally abused, overworked, and grossly underpaid all of us. Epping awful. Think it honestly may have given me mild PTSD. Oh man. You're giving me flashbacks. Old boss was extremely popular with clients, but he followed the same ideals your boss had. We had a very small staff of 4, and quitting time was 5 o'clock. However, he always took another 10 to 15 minutes to close up the office since he was the manager. The other staff were expected to just sit around and wait for him to finish, off the clock of course, so we could all walk to the station together. Cause family. The kicker was that his place was about 5 minutes from the office by train, and the rest of ours were at least 30 minutes away. Literally saw a job posting yesterday that said if monetary compensation is your primary reason for applying, don't bother. We're a family here. That was one of the most demeaning things I've ever read. Edit, just to be clear, this was a paid job. They were just saying that they weren't going to pay you very much, I guess. If you want to get paid for your employment, look elsewhere. Yeah, okay. I definitely will. Edit, it's always the random comments you don't even think about that become your top rated. Makes me wonder how crafty they treat their actual family. AKA you won't be promoted. Lamau exactly. You're part of our family and family helps each other out with as little compensation as possible. I had a boss like that. Worked for him for 2.5 years. On some days I would literally manage his store. I knew how to do everything and I worked 70-hour weeks. Ended up being paid 90 cents more than the minimum wage. Nice family. The Holy Church of CrossFit. I'm a member of the not quite as well-known Church of Orange Theory. If you ask us about proper rowing technique, we'll all start chanting at you. Legs, core, arms, arms, core, legs. Rowing is 60%, leg drive. Power, patience, patience. When I first joined 2.5 years ago, I came home with my little folder of information and coupons to local businesses, a tote bag, a car magnet, and the heart rate monitor, and said to my husband, I think I just joined a cult. Years ago, I joined a CrossFit gym that definitely fell into cult territory. The meathead level was off the charts. Guys doing pull-ups with gas masks on and crap like that. My fat ass made it 3 weeks before I left and found another place. The second place was nothing like the first one. It felt more like an adult's discovery zone. No one ever pushed me to do anything. I lost a ton of weight, made fit healthy friends, and never been sold anything. I was in the best shape of my life, and it was the most consistent I ever was with working out. I actually competed in a beginners-only competition and half the club came to support me. Call me Kevin subscribers, it's not a cult, I promise. Yes, definitely not the cult of Jim Pickens. Aha, yes, definitely not a cult. I don't know why anyone would think that. Praise Jim. He is our dear leader. I immediately thought this one too. The most wholesome and loving cult in existence, based around an insane mass murderer with a love of elaborate basements. Edit. For anyone confused, the mass murderer is a character in The Sims 4 named Jim Pickens. The YouTube is a lovely guy. All murders and basements are purely fictional. The most wholesome and loving cult in existence. Aw, that's sweet. Based around an insane mass murderer. Wait. What? It's about The Sims 4 character. So all murdering is solely digital. Smack. Hey there, friends. This is the clear winner of this post. I've never heard of this, but all these comments are so insular and passionate. 10/10 cult scale rating. All hail our dear leader. Curly girl method groups. Flat iron, jail. Hair dye, jail. Sulfates, you right to jail. Silicones, right to jail, right away. No deep conditioning, believe it or not, jail. We have the best hair in the world because of jail. Wash it too often? Right to jail. Wash not enough? Believe it or not, also jail. Edit. We have special jail for people who pay to buy Reddit awards. Not sleeping on silk/pineapple ing, super jail. You condition but no plop? Jail. So true. I'm in them to get some advice, but dang, some people are super intense. I wish there was a casual group out there that wasn't so ride or die. Having untouched curly hair is like a purity thing for some of them. I just want my curly hair to look nice and not fall out. Also, a lot of curly hair people gatekeep curly hair. Peloton. Seriously. My dad hasn't stopped talking about his since getting it a year ago, and went so far as to buy me one for Christmas this year. Which is super generous, and my fat ass will totally benefit, but feels like I'm being indoctrinated into something. The instructors are really intense and say culty things. I think the idea is to physically torture you to the point that you don't notice you're being programmed to spread Peloton gospel to anyone who will listen. I've been so bored that joining a cult where I get hotter sounds okay though. My mom and I got bikes this year. I love it, and I love the community, but yeah, it's totally a cult. AA. I am in AA. I like AA. It saved my life. But it is cultish a lot of the time. Also in AA, I also love AA, I also agree. AA is great. If you let it become your new addiction, it will be pretty cult-like. Some people forget we got sober so we could function in normal society. Yup, can't just hang out in meetings all day and night. It's a bridge back to life. Get off the bridge and get to living. But same here, it saved my life and I love it. 3 years clean from 4 heroin and meth. Meetings were instrumental in my first year. But after that, I felt as though I didn't need them anymore. I slowly stopped going. It's been a little over 2 years since I've been to a meeting, but now I have a job, an apartment, and my driver's license. Feeling pressured to work the steps, get a sponsor, etc., and basically being told if I don't or won't do these things I'll never maintain sobriety, was a big reason I stopped going. With that being said, I wouldn't be where I am at now without those meetings. A good bridge to a sponsor that I have found is friends and coworkers that don't drink or do drugs. It's the social situations the most that affect me, and it's nice having others as indirect support. My rule is that I will not go somewhere with alcohol without someone who knows I am an alcoholic. I do not expect them to stop me. At most, I think most would ask to make sure that is what I want to do, but it is a nice backstop if I am just not thinking and reach for a beer over a Coke. Saved my life too. It has its moments. I think one of the key differences between AA and a cult is in AA, you can leave anytime and go back. No, I don't have an AA problem, I swear, I could leave anytime. This sounds different in the UK, where the AA are a car breakdown service. That's funny, in America that car breakdown service is AAA. So the American AA? Yup, came here looking for this and totally agree. I think what generally keeps AA from actually becoming a cult is the emphasis on group conscience and no leaders. There are really terrifying accounts of splinter AA groups that totally devolved into cults where leaders took advantage of newcomers, both for labor and sex. My city has one that every rehab and every other AA group warns about. The greater AA organization stopped recognizing them years ago, but they themselves still claim to be AA. They own a bare-bones old one-room hall that usually has a few newly sober pigeons crashing on the floor. The local paper did a big serial about them and their tendency to stalk people who stop going and to insist that members not take medication for mental illness, even to the point of physically confiscating their medications from their homes. I went a couple times, and when I stopped, not because I relapsed but because of the cultishness, a group of them came to my house every day for a while to try to convince me to come back. Last I heard, the city shut them down due to the pandemic, but they were still having meetings in violation of the order. Edit is the link to the video and articles about them. Same link as above. Web link. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.